Those who are on virtually, if you have additional questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I will start off. So first question that came up in the chat, this is a general one. Can an employer access more than one MassHire program at a time?
Yes.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Yes, some of them may not make sense to do simultaneously, but yes, many of the grants come from different funding. Yeah, there's opportunities to leverage many of the grants at one time.
Okay. Next question is, can an employer post a job directly to your job quest, or should they more connect with you through a career center and then?
Yes,
Okay.
and I say yes in the sense that both answers or both options apply. We absolutely recommend that employers go in, explore the JobQuest database themselves, learn how to use it. But if they post their job within that system, it gets shared through anybody who is using it, and in some cases even picked up at a national level. But in order for the career centers to be able to help spread that position out to their specific customer base, it would be helpful to at least establish that relationship and let the career center know that, hey, we just posted these 5 or 6 positions. Do you mind sharing them with your customers and so forth to help get the word out a little bit better? So it's a combination of both. We absolutely recommend going and doing it yourself, but at the same time, we're also here to help promote those opportunities at a local level, which sometimes doesn't always happen when you're just in the system yourself.
I also was going to add that if you have a direct link to where you've already posted the job within your online site or anywhere else online and you just email it to us, it's very easy for us to also put in the initial job order and also promote it on social media as well.
And I'd like to add that when you do apply for these particular, or you post your particular position in that website, the career centers have access to assist you with knowing who's applied to those positions and can help you streamline that process with that individual and screen them for you as well.
And then to kind of piggyback off of that, could an employer utilize the JobQuest system somehow to host a virtual job fair that's just for that employer?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're hosting one in a week and a half it's the Greater Franklin Virtual Career Fair that the Metro Southwest Career Centers are hosting. We work with a system called Premier. Each career center has the ability to host a standard Zoom or WebEx type event if that's the style of, let's say, information session or so forth. But the state in general has licenses that we're able to not just use ourselves, but also share with partner agencies and organizations, or even do individual employer recruitments called Premier Virtual. And it's an online system that basically brings the in-person job fair feel to the online setup, where job seekers can go in, they visit employers' booths, they have the opportunity to chat via typing. But what's really cool is they also then have the availability to interview virtually right on the spot, apply to positions through the system. It really makes it easy to use and also easy to track. They're constantly improving it. And again, for a while, the career centers were leveraging that a lot during the heart of COVID, and now we use them sporadically on events, and again, we have some coming up as well. But at the same time, yes, we can absolutely work with employers individually to help set up those types of events as well.
So and then another question, I know that we have the career center, so it's based regionally. Is it ever possible for MassHire to create like a hyper-local, just like a page that just has Acton jobs, or a page that just has, Acton, Maynard, Stowe, or something like that that's a little more targeted?
Within the specific JobQuest site, I do not believe so. Please don't quote me on that, as I'm not an IT person, but I'm fairly certain that the capabilities aren't, say, that specific to have a page within that system. That being said, working with your local career center, there are opportunities where they could potentially, and I know we would, highlight specific jobs in a town to a mailer that goes out to all of our customers and so forth. So yes, if, say, the town of Acton has 4 employers or 5 employers that wanted to pull together and pitch their positions, we'd absolutely be able to work with you to come up with an opportunity to A, help market those opportunities, but then, not A, but promote them overall.
Okay. And the last question that I saw in the Zoom room is, or kind of suggestion is, could MassHire somehow host, whether it's virtually or in person or hybrid, maybe a smaller format workshop for employers who need to start doing succession planning?
It's a great question, and I actually don't have a specific resource off the top of my head available for that. I believe there are some that are out there, but in general, there are general business resources through the BizWorks program from a workshop perspective, I think that would be a great one for us to look into. And I'll be completely honest with you, I need to look into that. We often don't see the succession side because a lot of times we see that we need people now kind of requests coming into us. But the succession planning is a good one that I'll be honest, I need to look at a little bit more, but would be happy to talk about what those needs are. And at minimum connect you to the right organization, if not be able to host some of those workshops locally ourselves.
Awesome.
And that Sean was mentioning about that, he's absolutely right. There are some career centers that do that, and it just depends on your region. It varies. So the career centers, although they are all under one umbrella, they do all have a different niche on how they do things. And they're all specialized in how they do it because you got to understand that each region is treated different. Boston is completely different than the Berkshires. So the career centers in the Berkshires aren't always doing what the city of Boston is doing. And the same thing in the Metro West area. They're not always doing what, somebody in Central is doing. So it varies. And this is why sometimes you have a variation on how we're going to answer your question. And as Sean stated, we'll get you the answer. If this is what you want to do, we'll make it happen. Trust me and believe me, there's nothing we can't do. We can do it. We can't make we will not promise you anything, but there's nothing that we can't connect you to help you make this your need or your request work.
And Yira, you can contact either myself or Sean. You can see our emails on the slide for more info about doing that premier virtual job fair. Is there anyone in the room who has a question? We'll start with Sophia.
Thank you. That was very informative. Did I understand correctly that you provide pretty much similar services to a headhunter by state?
Yeah.
So, we work with different organizations free also. What is the prerequisite for somebody who may or may not be a U.S. resident? I'm not sure if they are. I have two companies that are spinning out of Europe. They established here, and now they're looking for the first employees. They don't know the ecosystem. We're having them done. They don't know where to go to, and couple of headhunters quality exorbitantly high prices to find business development. Is it something that you do? And if so, who do I need to talk to connect to the area of Arlington is one and Cambridge, Medford is the other?
All right, so that's a great question, and I'll repeat it for those online. So she was asking if the Career Center services are similar to that of a headhunter, and if so, free. She's working with an employer who is just starting out and developing their stateside staff, and were recently charged an exorbitant fee or a quote for a headhunter, and was just wondering in the Arlington and Cambridge area who they'd be able to connect with. And short answer is Yes, it's a little bit nuanced because from a headhunter's perspective, we partner with businesses. We're not going to go in and take an employee from another business to put them with another. So there's some nuance to that when you're using the term headhunter, so to speak. But we are absolutely performing many of the same tasks and doing so out of the database and also working with our partners. So yes, as it relates to those two employers, it actually wouldn't be me directly. I forget if you have Arlington or not, but I know for sure we'd be able to connect them directly to one of my colleagues in the Metro North Center. They have a Cambridge location, and they would absolutely be able to assist in getting the recruitment effort started based on the needs of what that company is looking for. At no cost, yeah.
And to further indulge in that, I do have a direct connection to the person in that area, the business service manager there, and I can connect you with that individual. They also have 3 locations in that area. They have an office in Cambridge, there's an office in Chelsea, and there's an office in Woburn in that particular region. And they're all under the same workforce investment board. They're managed by the same workforce investment board, so they all worked together as an organization in that particular area. So some areas have more than one career center, some only have one career center. So it depends on the region that you're in. That one has 3 in the Cambridge area. We will help you with that. We're just going to connect you to the main business service managers. There's one business service manager that oversees all of the centers. Like Sean, in his area, there's 2. He has 2. And if you need to find out about business in that area, or your business needs assistance with those types of services, they would reach out to Sean, and he would let you know which career center and which person at that career center you would work directly with. But Sean would be your go-to person as your business service manager in that region. You're welcome.
Mike?
Thanks, Julie. So I have a question about the workforce training program run by ActonTV. So we did that last year and got basically the full $30,000. That was fantastic. But there's some limitations. One, the pool of classes is limited in which you can apply. So how can I get a class to be eligible for that? It seems like it's a pretty intense application process for them to be admitted. And how do you incent that? Then part 2, does the training have to be done in the state? In other words, if there's a class in Chicago that I like to go to, it would help me as a Massachusetts employer, but how do you potentially get that funding?
So the question was was mentioned that an individual company has received a grant from Commonwealth Corporation, and they wanted to know how to work around the limit of how many individuals you can put in a class.
Not quite. So we did last year have success, the class was listed like checkbox, very happy. Going forward for 2023, there's some classes that aren't listed that we're interested in, and one of them is out of state. So how can we get an out-of-state class eligible so we can use that for 2023?
Okay, the question is, how do you get an out-of-state class eligible? First, what I'm going to do is speak to my counterpart because this is the first time I've heard this question. That's a very interesting question, and I appreciate that. I will speak to my counterpart at Commonwealth Corporation. I believe it would probably, are you asking if they could travel to this particular class?
So you notice that the $3,000 cap for student class. So probably part of the class is a little bit more than that. So it would be nice to say $3,000 actually not quite enough for everyone. So whether the class is in 3,000 instead. I know we can look for 6,000, but 3,000 is great.
Where, if you don't mind, where is your company located? Okay, perfect. So What I can do, because in terms of the first question, which was regarding the limited training options that are out there, each local workforce board approves the training programs that end up going into the Training Pro system, which is the eligible training provider list. So we'd be able to connect. Oftentimes, if a training provider isn't in there, the Career Center or the local workforce board, there are processes in place that we can work together on to make sure that we can see if that training would be eligible. Unfortunately, there's the process that needs to be followed that is in place, but we'd be able to at least help work with you and connect with our workforce board to help get that approved. I'm not sure, similar to Mark, about the answer with the out-of-state. I don't know what the specific guidelines are for that, but in terms of the training program isn't listed, but we need training in X, Y, and Z, the local regions would be able to work with you and that training provider to navigate that system to a good degree.
And I do have a question to your question. Is this a hands-on training, or is this something that could be done online?
It's in person, it's not hands-on, it's like leadership.
All right, so if it's a leadership type program, what they may do, please don't quote me, but what they may do is have you do something online. That might be a suggestion that they have for you, or what they may ask is, how long is the training and can the trainer come here?
It's at a university.
It's at a university.
Yeah, you're
there's so
going into
many
the nuance of it
parameters
at this
here,
point, but the reality is, we'd be able to work and see and get those answers. But again, if it's the local workforce region would be the one that helps do it for each specific region. I'm not sure what the out-of-states are, so that's something we can look at offline.
I'll work with you on that.
Okay. I was just about to say, who should Mike follow up with? So Mark. And then the gentleman in the front, you had a question?
Yeah, I just had a question on grants. Is grant season submittable their state grant programs?
Repeat that again, sorry?
Is it using the submittable application process, or?
I don't think so. Each grant, depending upon who's responsible for it, the applications go through each center. I know they do, I don't think they have, I haven't heard that system. I don't know, Mark, if you have yet, but each one kind of has its own stream where it's coming from and who's responsible for it. So I don't think they've combined all of that yet, but I could be wrong.
So the only combining is the website itself, Commonwealth Corporation. When you go there, you pick out your specific grant that you're interested in. When you click on that particular one that you're interested in, there's a whole application process there, and there's an inquiry form that you can start just to inquire about the grant. You can go onto that website, put your information in, and then the representative on that particular grant, because they have teams that work on each specific grant. And so you'll be working with a specific individual on the different grants that you may apply for. So if you apply to two, you'll probably end up talking to two different people because they're set up as teams that work on these grants, that answer those questions. There is one person who oversees all of this information at Commonwealth Corporation, but the specific grants, there will be a particular individual that you will be in collaboration with as you move through that process.
Go ahead.
Many of what we talked about with the grants for technicals, and I know I work in the early childhood education field, director of elementary school. Do you do things, child care specifically tailored to that group of employers, and who would you reach out to know their?
Yeah, so it's a great point. So as it really, each region will operate their own. I do know there are some regions that have done early childhood fairs sporadically. So realistically, it would just be working with, and are you located here in Acton? So especially within the Acton, for example, while it falls within the MassHire Metro Southwest region, I would probably also loop in our neighbors at North Central as well as Metro North, just because of where it's located, to make sure sure we reach the full pool. But yeah, in essence, we could potentially host one specific to your company and or the industry. It's just, it honestly, we're flexible in what we're able to do in programming wise. So a lot of it just comes down to demand, and if there's an interest in hosting it, I can't guarantee, because obviously there's a shortage in job seekers, but we'll do everything in our power to make that type of an event work and try and get some people out there for you.
Any more questions in the room? Joyce?
I'm an outlier here, and I really appreciate you guys coming and asking for all the folks in the state that has a very, very, very small city, which is called that. But knowing our large immigrant population that we live here, and knowing we do our own training, we get kids out of high school, instead of high school, they're not interested. You're not going to find a job later. You're not working on hours. I have right now 2 high school kids and 3 retirees who work 22 days a week in season. And then I have 2 or basically 5 full-time. This turnover is tremendous. So we have to train these kids all the time. And I think when you look at a business like mine, those kids get more training off the top. So if you can make this template, you know what's going on, and I know we just hope to find out. There's a whole area out here that makes money, that helps support the family, that supports itself with independence and gives knowledge. Is there any, that I know there's no one here, but there's a lot of stuff. Can't tell the economy or the stuff. So, so I admire what you're doing today. That's right on. You need good time. But if there's anything out there, also, phones and both people, and high school students. There's a lot of high school students now who are looking at going who actually have any skill at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a...
No, you're.
No, not at all.
Perfectly
The best part about MassHire is that it's literally all businesses within the state of Massachusetts are who we work with. So it's not just those with the ideal careers and career paths and and all of that. It's just as importantly the local small businesses that don't have the resources that the larger businesses have, that are the ones that are able to really leverage the resources that are available. As it relates to your business and targeting specifically the youth and students, I would absolutely look to connect you with our youth program. For example, I know of 2 high school career fairs coming up in Medway and Norwood that we're partnering with the youth programs on in Metro Southwest, where they're hosting a career fair and having employers on site to connect with those students. That could be something potentially here with the town of Acton and their high school. And there's opportunities to be creative and be flexible in what it is we're doing. And we'd be happy to meet with you and work. But I would absolutely recommend connecting with the youth program if that's a demographic that you specifically target for your employment force. There are opportunities, and especially when it comes to what you were saying regarding like the basic work readiness, there are absolutely programs that are out there for individuals, for veterans, for individuals low income, maybe coming back into the workforce. Any population is able to take advantage of a lot of the work readiness programs that the systems have. But I would absolutely start with youth because they have geared programs specific toward, obviously, that population and the skill sets that they need to develop.
I think retired is very impact.
Yep. Absolutely, and that's where, again, we partner with CSEP, and I'm going to draw a blank on what the acronym spells out, but it is for senior employment where they do work. They have programs in place that we can partner. In fact, our Career Center hired 2 staff directly from that program that have been phenomenal workers at our Career Center. So there are definitely opportunities for businesses to tap into those markets as well, and for those listening, it would be the senior citizens and retirees and really just the older workforce, as there are definitely challenges that they're facing as well.
And in the system, to add, there some of the career centers also offer those etiquette classes that you're talking about and working in. And I'm almost 90% sure that if you work with Sean, if you're in his region and you want to work with his career center about setting up something like that, or even Erica, they can work with you on, I mean, it might be something that is needed. I know that they run them in the inner city areas. They run these type of classes. Matter of fact, on Saturday, I have to go to an etiquette class and teach young youth how to perform in an office and how to dress and how to do a tie. So I'll be doing that on Saturday. So how to tie a tie. So there's simple things like that, and that's how the system works. We have different types of programs within our system, but we're always open to employee suggestions and to see how we can incorporate that, because it might be something we're not thinking about.
And just to add context, so Joyce is in the retail industry. She has a bike shop, long time. And they don't wear ties.
No, I feel like the ties would get caught in the chains if you were, she operates a bike shop for those listening, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions here in the room? Yeah.
Another question, Mark, are you guys familiar with what you're partnering with MVCC, Friends, or other business?
I'm not aware of that.
MGCC, can you elaborate?
Yes.
The mass growth.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So we, at the Career Center level, we'd be the conduit to that. So yes, absolutely. As some of the partners that we talked about as it relates to BizWorks and so forth, we can connect over to Mass Office of Business Development, as you're saying, MGC, Mass Growth Capital Corporation. Those are all, you can say, members of or resources that are in the BizWorks. We don't have the capacity at the Career Center level, and I don't believe the Future Skills are involved in those grants, but absolutely 100% we'd be able to make those connections to the local contact that would be responsible for those grants.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and it's free money, especially in Power Digital grant, $5,000 for any business under $2.5 million per year. Spend on digital services.
So yes, that would go through Mass BizWorks, as Sean was saying. We would connect you to the right person there. So
Yeah.
you can reach out to myself or Sean, and we'll get you to the right person.
Mike?
Now, a little bit related to the succession question earlier, got me thinking, do you guys offer any employers resources that they're considering exiting the business, and/or on the flip side, if someone's looking to buy a business? So, do you guys market yourself, hey, you're really kind of free? Are you guys also business brokers as well?
We technically are not. No.
We should be,
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
maybe in the future,
Yeah.
but never know.
Growing brand, you know, finding out everything and selling. You guys probably get a lot of those stories.
So I know, and I don't want to overspeak. I know there's, as you guys can tell, there's a ton out there, so it is oftentimes difficult for us to really track every single thing, but I'm fairly certain there are some resources for like the employee-owned ways to transition out of ownership, where there's a program out there that allows employees to, in essence, purchase the business that, so I know that I believe that's one of the resources that they have. The other ones I'm honestly not sure of, because we typically don't run into the succession planning, because again, that's a successful business that's on its way out there. I need to look into that, would be the short answer.
There's definitely someone out there. I did have a brief conversation with somebody who does that, but it was through a BizWorks conversation. So that's probably who I'm going to reach out to, and I will find you someone who will assist you with that. Great question.
Any other questions here in the room? Yeah.
In addition to using JobQuest for posting jobs, do employers have access to the database of these candidates or resumes? Can I run a search for certain?
Absolutely. However, there are, in a lot of cases, there are privacy settings, because again, it's the database of unemployment. So individuals have to opt in. Some individuals opt in and show all of their information. Others, all the employer would see is the resume information, but without, or the work history information, without their name or so forth. You would get a job seeker ID number, and at the Career Center, we'd be able to then go in and contact, exactly. That's where we work with you guys in that. Some you'll be able to see within the system, but a lot of them are confidential in nature at that time, so we would then reach out on your behalf. Absolutely. And I'll actually say, if you were to log into it now, it's effective and definitely something you'd be able to use. They're in the process of rolling out, and I want to say it's sometime in the summer, an enhanced version of the employer search function that's really going to make it significantly more impactful. Right now, it's absolutely effective, and the career centers are able to help you navigate that. Will still be needed when the upcoming changes take place, because there is still that confidentiality piece, but it'll be a lot more user-friendly and so forth. But for now, at the minimum, we'd absolutely be able to help you navigate that end of things and work with you to do that.
In any of your individual job seekers that you are working with, I encourage you to encourage them to use the Career Center and sign up at a Career Center for the services. Services are free, basically, when you go to the Career Center. So these job seekers, even if they're, they don't have the proper working papers, the Career Centers will work with them. They'll work them through. The first step is to go through an orientation. And during that orientation, they introduce them to all of the services that will benefit them as they go through that job search, and they help them. And as Sean was saying, when they're in our system like that, that's how they have that ID number. Once that ID number is in there, the magic happens between the Career Centers. They have all the information that you need right there. And by them registering, it makes it a lot easier for us to know who that particular candidate is that has gone through the Career Center, because now we have a relationship with them.
And also, I will add, besides being able to see, job seekers and potential candidates and post jobs, there is a part of JobQuest for both job seekers and employers that you can see all of the upcoming workshops, seminars, events. So if there is going to be a job fair and maybe you weren't on, say, Sean's distribution list to get notified about, being able to come as an employer, you would see it as a listed upcoming event for the month, and you would have, I think, a direct link to contact to be a part of it, or at least gather the information and reach out to us somehow to be a part of it as well.
And then also just to highlight too, if you are looking at training providers or things like that, where you'd be looking at potential grants, you also have access to see the approved training provider list as an employer leveraging JobQuest, I believe, as well. So.
Training programs are also posted on there at times as well. So you'll see those as well. So if you're a company that creates a pipeline training, sometimes they're posted up there depending on the parameter of that particular training and how large it may be.
Well, I want to thank Mark, Erica, and Sean for sharing.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
And everyone, feel free to continue chatting, have some refreshments. We're really glad you're here.
We appreciate all of you here in person, and we appreciate all of you online. Thank you very much.
Thank you.